Hello Gemini friends, my name is Annie Botticelli and welcome to my January 10th, 2020 full moon lunar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer report for Geminis. This is going to get into lots of detail about the areas of life that you're likely to see massive change, breakthroughs, drama, goodbyes, major hellos. This eclipse season is a time of great intensity. It sometimes affects some people more than others depending on how it's aspecting everything in your chart, which we can't see everything in your chart. So I want to equip you for the potentials of where you're likely to see these changes. Some people feel like they're just sitting back holding space for people going through crazy changes at eclipse time. And some people are experiencing these life-changing, jaw-dropping surprises and trajectory shifts. And some people are doing both, where you're holding space and you're going through massive change. So even though this eclipse is actually in January, this eclipse cycle started with the eclipse in December, and there is at least 4 to 6 weeks before each eclipse that this starts to cook up. It's like as you get closer, the rumblings and the news and the pieces start coming in, and the things that were a little bit undercover start being brought into consciousness and into your conscious experience and awareness. So we might start to see eclipse changes as of October, and you can see more about how the December eclipse will hit for your sign in my November report for each sign. For the January report, I'm doing a whole separate one besides my monthly reports for each sign. I'm doing a separate January eclipse report, which is what this is. Definitely, if you want to get more information about how astrological transits will affect you and how to most use these awesome opportunities in the cosmos, check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, for tons of very detailed blogs. Also, you can sign up for my free email newsletter, where you get my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free, and you get delivered into your inbox 1 month early a written general report of the aspects, the dates, of what you can expect with those aspects, delivered to your inbox so that you have it for your planning purposes. You can also get written horoscopes by me at cozybysweetstarlight.com. That's my lifestyle blog. I also have these horoscopes with great reads for each sign for each month, a month early. And definitely check out my individual monthly reports for your sign, which are always lots of details about how you can expect the energies to manifest for you. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that in recent years I've been using visuals. I'm an astrology teacher, so I delight in showing you why things may happen, not just what may happen. Now, I finally figured out, this has been like a major goal of mine, to figure out how to do a split screen recording where I can show you while I'm on the screen things that are happening that I'm writing, so I can show you the visual while I still stay on the screen here with you. So, I'm going to start that now. In order to make the most of the information I'm going to give you, you'll want to know where in the Gemini spectrum you are. There are 30 degrees in the Gemini spectrum. The early degree people are basically the May born, or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle Geminis are around June 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees. And late Geminis are around June 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. And if you're watching for your moon in Gemini, or your sun in Gemini, or your rising in Gemini, this report is for you equally. The sun chart, the moon chart, the rising chart are all different pictures out of our viewpoint. So this window here out of my RV, I'm still traveling, trying to get these recordings to you as I'm traveling. It's crazy, but I'm doing it. Out of that window, these 3 different windows, you see 3 different views of what it's like to be here right now for me. And that's the same with these moon, sun, rising reports. They're all sneak views out that are happening at the same time that are equally as true. Okay, so a little overview here. January 2020, it's January 10th, 2020 eclipse, lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer. So all signs of the zodiac will experience 4th house potentials. I'm going to talk about these houses right now, but after I give you this quick visual overview, I'm going to explain what arenas of life these houses rule and where very specifically you're likely to see these changes happen for you. And this is based on my doing thousands of live readings and horoscopes and details for years and tracking them for decades. So I'll give you exact manifestations that I've seen of stories of, people having eclipses in these areas. Okay, so 4th house for all Gemini placements. All Gemini placements will also have 2nd house manifestations, but you early people, so early in the sign, early born, basically our May born or 0 to 9 degree friends, whoopsie, you're also going to have the potential for a 3rd house manifestation. So I'm going to very quickly show you why this can be different depending on where you're at. And we'll look at the charts. And then we'll do the tutorials on what you can expect. Okay, so early degree placements, when we're looking for 20 degrees of Cancer, that's very clearly in the second house. Just to kind of give you a little visual here, okay? Sometimes you can see this better with clusters. See this cluster of energy. Now, don't get thrown off with the fact I'm using the December chart, because when we're looking at a static placement like an eclipse, it doesn't matter what month chart you're looking at. If we were doing these transits, it would matter because these are going to be in different places in January, but we're not doing that right now. But see that cluster for early. Then notice where that cluster goes. It's subtle, but you can see it shifts. And then the same thing for late degree placements. So see all of these, this movement is moving. See, all of this is like here, like 9th, 8th, 7th, right? And then when you look at the middle degree chart, see how that sun was in the 7th house for early? Well, look where the sun is. It's in the middle chart of the 6th house. And look where it is for the late. It's dropped way back. And all this cluster is shifted too. So you can see when you're looking at a Placidus chart, it makes a difference where you're at. If we were just talking about a whole house chart, we'd say every Gemini is going to experience this eclipse in the 2nd house. That's it. End of story. But as we look closer in the Placidus chart, 20 degrees is still in the 2nd house. Okay, so that's what I said. Okay, 2nd house for everybody. Oh wait, hold on, I'm doing it backwards here. Okay, so late degree chart, 20 degrees, still in the 2nd house. But see, you early friends, 20 degrees is right here on this line to the 3rd house. So it's close enough that you may have a manifestation in that 3rd house. But the rest of you, it drops back further in the 2nd house. So it's not anywhere near that 3rd house. So the 3rd house manifestations from the whole house perspective is different than when you look at the Placidus chart. Because Cancer is the ruler of the 2nd house. So an eclipse in Cancer would be in the 2nd house for everybody. But if you look at the chart, because it's on the line there, and read the cusp, you can see the early degree placements may also have that in the 3rd house. All right, that's just what I wanted you to see. All right, so now, just a quick overview. I'm going to send, where's my little guy here? All right, I'm going to drop in a tutorial for 2nd house. That's going to be true for all of you. I'm going to drop in a tutorial, 4th house manifestations of eclipses. That's going to be true for all of you. If you're an early degree placement, so basically May born or 0 to 9 degrees, stick around for that last segment, 3rd house manifestations, because that's likely to occur for you. Eclipses often bring radical changes, major news, major trajectory shifts, sudden accomplishments, sudden things getting eclipsed out, other things getting eclipsed in, things coming to fruition. And when there's an eclipse in the 2nd house or Taurus, these are the areas that I see most highlighted with these storylines. One of the big ones is finances. So there are many different facets of finance. Someone could have a big breakthrough in how they're doing their budgeting. So, and sometimes this is forced from the outside. And sometimes it's instigated from the inside. So a sudden realization that something has to be changed. I've also seen eclipse in 2nd house or Taurus bring about major purchases. Now, it's always important to take this information about eclipses and also factor in what else is happening at the time, because if an eclipse is in a personal planet retrograde, recommendations for whether to make major purchases, may be shifted depending on certain time frames. But in general, in an eclipse season, I often see major purchases made, a home, a boat, a luxury item, or a sustainability item, solar, adding solar, something that's a major purchase that will enrich your life in some way, often comes through. I've seen, major jewelry purchases, something that has some significance to the person from a material perspective. often comes through with these eclipses. I've seen new sources of income. This is one of the major things that I see in these eclipse in second house or Taurus cycles, is a new way of making money, a new source of income, a raise, something different or additional about money. Also, sometimes a source of money can be eclipsed out, so depending on the energy, but changes in how you make money, changes in sources of income. Sustainability topics. So this has to do again with the finances, like questions about sustainability, things coming to a head. Maybe they've been unsustainable and they spiral out of control in the eclipse time. Maybe you have a great breakthrough and you pay off debt and get current in the eclipse time. Something having to do with living sustainably from the financial perspective. An increase in savings, like a bunch of money come in or a bunch of money go out. Something having to do again with anything in the financial sector. I've seen things having to do with the environment and the earth. So earth projects, getting your hands dirty, building projects. Again, sustainability as it relates to the environment, your imprint, questions about your imprint, or, something having to do with changing the environment around you, building or creating. The energy of security comes up quite a bit. So emotional security, financial security. So a lot of times there are major occurrences on the topic of security. So again, that can be like a zap to the security where something shifts and you're feeling less secure, or something happens that solidifies that feeling of security. And all of this can also have to do with, even steps that one takes to be more financially certain in the future. So putting things together that will affect this sector at some point. And also inner work having to do with self-esteem based on making more money. So, again, raises or the awareness of one's own value that can shift what they call in as far as their income. This energy of sustainability can have to do with the financial sector, but is also, very holistic. So the quest to be emotionally sustainable, financially sustainable, where someone can do things on their own. So not just sustainable as it relates to the world, but also sustainable as it relates to the individual's ability to stand on their own feet, so being able to rely on inner resources sometimes, even rather than having to have someone else or outside resources. So like a remembering of inner resources and a development of your own inner resources. I often see these the eclipse cycles that have to do with second house and Taurus have to do with starting a business. And again, you could see the relationship here between sustainability, but I have seen it in a manifestation where somebody starts a business, somebody ends a business, somebody opens a new chapter within a business, somebody closes a chapter within a business, so the closing or opening of chapters or the closing and opening of whole projects can follow the eclipse cycles or eclipse placements in this house. And that does, again, lead back to this energy of sustainability, because when one has their own business, there's a different level of sustainability than, kind of just making everything happen themselves and developing the way by which their finances will improve, kind of taking the financial picture by the reins and feeling back more in control or more in a directive role in the financial sector. And often that does have to do with having one's own business. Sometimes I've seen this where people start businesses on the side of their regular businesses, and sometimes I've seen this eclipse manifestation be where this is the time when their business takes flight or they kind of jump all in. Okay, so eclipses tend to bring changes in trajectory, new opportunities, coming to fruition of things in process, surprises, drama, bright openings, notable things in the forefront of home and family, and some other headers. So we're going to look at some common ways that I have seen the fourth house or Cancer eclipses manifest. Home and housing. So many people will move during an eclipse cycle where there's a fourth house or Cancer eclipse, moving to a new place. Some people, this will include like a bilocation or a multiple location. Like if you have a house already, you can set up a second residence or a different residence in addition to the one you already have. For some people, it manifests as just a complete, clean, different move. Sometimes it's a temporary move or a temporary change in housing. This energy very much can rule sales, or sales or purchases of homes, getting a home ready for sale, purchasing a new home. Even though eclipse time very often brings these into the forefront, definitely always pay attention to the other information I give for the horoscopes at that time to understand how other transits that can be occurring at the same time as the eclipse season can interfere or enable contractual arrangements and big steps. Very often, a fourth house eclipse will have to do with the changing of occupancy within your home. So let's say you're there and you stay there and the house is the same, but someone moves out or someone moves in. Or you start using your home for home-based business. The starting of a home-based business is very common. Bringing on, an Airbnb or any other home-based business where you're working online. Making repairs or making additions or changes to the home. And again, with these kind of things, definitely pay attention to the other aspects of the time because, minor repairs can be fine at any time, but if you're going to do major additions, there are other astrological factors that I always speak to in the horoscopes that can be relevant. But I do see these eclipses tend to bring movement along these fronts with things like this. Changes in or notable things going on in family, and that's your family that you live with or your family that you came from. Drama, solutions, healings, people getting married, so there's new entrances to the family, people having separations, children, new children coming into the family. I see a focus on ancestry and genealogy come up very often in this. You might find out you have a relative that is notable. You might connect with someone in your genealogy. You may become really interested in tracking your ancestry or genealogy. Or someone may contact you. Childhood psychology is another thing I see come up. There are rhythms at play in our lives. And if you, and things tend to be cyclical. So the things that you're experiencing now, a lot of the ways that you feel right now, you felt as a child, and that had to do with childhood imprinting and many other factors. But the relationship between what you're experiencing now and what happened as a child and possibly even prior to, if you believe in past lives or if you believe in genetic memory manifesting as our experience. So, attention to what's happening now as it relates to the past and doing inner work to help stop the cycles for yourself and your family. So that I see that often come up with the fourth house eclipses or Cancer eclipses. So in general, with the fourth house or Cancer eclipse, be prepared to focus on your inner world or the things closest to you, like home level, family level, history, and your emotional or inner space. Eclipses bring major changes, major news, and major events. And although sometimes we observe other people having the changes and we're holding space for them, very often we are the ones that are having the changes when the eclipses occur in these certain placements. When there's an eclipse in the third house or Gemini, one of the sectors of life that is very much brought into the forefront is communication. So this can be interpersonal communication, the way that you relate to others, your communication style. I very often will talk on this topic about how our nervous system has been imprinted with the tones, with the things said and not said by our parents or primary, child rearers that get laced into our way of talking. And so going deeper into how, well, actually, in many cases, violence is just imprinted in to our language, whether it's passive aggressive or, if a parent is stressed and it goes into the speech and the kid gets imprinted with it, then it rolls into our communication style. So in-depth opportunities to look at how we're communicating. And again, this comes up at this time, but it has to do a lot of times with how we experience someone else. So if we think they're being harsh or they're not being fair or they're being, in a certain way, sometimes those things can serve as reflectors for us at this time about our own personal communication patterns. And the more we can own that, if we're having communication issues with other people, that we can own our part of it and where it came from and how we're attracting it in, the more we can use the opportunity that comes at this time with the eclipse cycle. So interpersonal communications, I always like to recommend the book Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, where he outlines this, plus a plan to shift it. I really love his work because he gets people together that are basically warring with each other, sometimes very seriously warring with each other, gets them in the same room, teaches them this communication system in order to help people get better outcomes to reach common goals with their communication. So that's a big one that I see. Devices are another part of this. So, issues with devices, dropping phones in toilets, having new devices, having to have them or choosing to upgrade, or any kind of change with communication. Anything having to do with systems, your system of communication with people. So how, email, ways that you go texting, ways that you go about communicating. So notable things occurring there, or changing how you relate to those particular ways. Something else that comes up a lot with third house eclipses and Gemini eclipses is transportation and mobility. So the modes of transportation, issues with a car or other vehicle, getting new ones. And again, I always talk about this. Eclipses often bring in new devices or transportation pieces, but definitely also pay attention to the time that it's occurring. So, if it's a personal planet retrograde, which I speak to more in the horoscopes, it may not be the time to voluntarily make a purchase, but if you can just, watch the general transits as they relate to the eclipse season and time your purchases if possible, that can be helpful. But in general, this topic will come up. It's a time to not ignore when your car is doing something weird. That's the bottom line. It's a time to make a pledge to not text and drive, and remember that before we could text and drive, we didn't. So therefore we still can manage to get from place to place without texting or even talking on the phone. Anything that can interfere with the driving, because this energy can increase the energy of accidents. And so even if you're walking or biking, avoiding being distracted while those things are happening, look to, be extra careful with your physical body as it relates to other people moving and you moving around. This energy also has to do with physical mobility. So if there's been an injury, sometimes there's an injury from the eclipse or related to the eclipse, or sometimes there's a healing moving along a continuum of regaining mobility, a different chapter of mobility. Writing and editing and some different aspects of your expression can come up at this time. So writing projects and opportunities. Also, relatives that aren't parents or kids are related to the third house in Gemini. So cousins, siblings, aunts, uncles, things like that are in this house. So notable connections with these people or opportunities or progress along a continuum can often come in as a third house eclipse chapter. Gemini can also relate to social settings and some aspect of, relating in a social scene. So notable interactions in the social scene can also come up at this time. So a quick summary of some of the ways to best use this energy is to respond to the things that occur. So if there's a symptom, if something's going on, look into it. Pay attention to the opportunities that come and take them seriously. And follow your hunches in these areas. Make a promise to yourself for accountability. So, ask yourself how you are the common denominator in your interactions, and do whatever is relevant to the situation to own your part and to work with your part of the dynamic. Pay extra special attention as you're moving around and have much extra care and extra focus. And be prepared to blow the dust off of old writing projects, or start new writing projects, or get down into the cleaning up of communications or other writing projects that have already been in process. I hope you feel very prepared now for eclipse season and understanding what kinds of changes may be ahead for you. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, to check out all of my astrology blogs and all of my other goodies there, including when you sign up for my free email newsletter, you will get a month early a written general transit report, including all of the notable aspects, the dates of the aspects, and what you can expect from each. And you'll also get my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free when you sign up for my free email newsletter, besides other goodies there. If you want written horoscopes by me, go to cozybysweetstarlight.com, and all of the links that I give you are also in the notes underneath. If you just click more underneath the video, you'll see all the websites there. So at cozybysweetstarlight.com, I have lifestyle blogs for healthy living, and I also have written horoscopes, again, up 1 month early, so you can check out what else is going on for your sign 1 month early. If you'd like to learn astrology and you resonate with how I teach, then definitely check out my astrology apprenticeship program, also at anniehelpsyou.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I hope you have a wonderful eclipse season. Definitely check out my horoscopes, my individual horoscopes for each sign for you on my YouTube channel, Annie Botticelli YouTube. You can check out my monthly reports. I always have them up a month early. And definitely also check out the November report, because I do talk about the December eclipse and its manifestations in there. And those eclipse manifestations can echo out, January, February, even March beyond. So to have a good understanding about where the first eclipse hit, you can check out my November report where I go into lots of details about that for you. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.